On a roster filled with star players, Green Bay Packers safety Evan Williams continues to fly under the radar league-wide, despite playing a crucial role for Green Bay's defense. A former fourth-round pick out of Oregon, Williams carved out a full-time starting role opposite of All-Pro safety Xavier McKinney and filled the stat sheet over his 2 years in the league. In 16 games last season, Williams racked up 100 combined tackles, including 4 tackles for loss, along with 5 pass breakups and 3 interceptions. Packers GM Brian Gutekunst has a history of double-dipping at a position in a single draft, and it looks like he might have struck gold by taking a pair of safeties in 2024 with Williams and second-round pick Javon Bullard, who is carving out his own role as a slot defender. Williams has a chance to take an even bigger step forward in 2026, so let's show you why he's so valuable to Green Bay's defense by diving into some of the film from this past season in today's episode of Best Available. Thank you for watching today's episode. Make sure that you're subscribed on YouTube if you're not already, and give us a follow on socials at BestAvailableYT. As always, a huge thank you to our members who continue to support us. I'll leave details to becoming a member in the episode description. But let's dive into this Williams tape because, man, I don't think he gets enough love, and you're going to see why. We've done a lot of Packers breakdowns on this channel over the offseason to get prepped for the season. I don't know if I've enjoyed one more than I did watching this Williams one because, I know he's a good player. I've watched him, watched the film. We've done a video on him in the past. But going through the entire season's body of work, I got a lot bigger or more of an appreciation for just how versatile he is and how effective he is in so many different roles. Starting with his first interception of the year in week 1 against the Detroit Lions, we've got Williams here. I'm going to move the screen a little bit in a second. But I wanted to show because we have this weird, but I wanted to at least show this little wide receiver stack right here so you can see how we're lining up. We've got corner, corner, safety, safety. So this could show me a couple of things. Maybe it's cover 4, we're all covering quarters here. Maybe it's cover 1 and we got man on here, single high safety here, man here. Maybe this guy's going into a robber role and maybe this guy's rushing. Maybe, there's all kinds of different coverages we can get out of this alignment. So I think Jared Goff's not entirely sure what's going to happen here. Now let me move the screen. We've got Williams as the high safety from the, with the most depth, looking like almost a single high safety role. But as we roll this play, he's going to buzz down. This is going to end up just being cover 3. So we're going to go deep third here by McKinney, and then deep third here by Nixon. And then Williams is going to just buzz down and look for things underneath as that hook curl defender. So he's going to buzz down. And I love what he does here is he buzzes down. He starts to stop and read eyes. But as soon as he sees Goff wind up to throw this, he's like, oh, let me just keep bringing my momentum here. Dive, interception. I love good disguise coverages. And hey, Gannon's a different defensive coordinator. I'm going to miss Jeff Hafley because he really had some exotic stuff, not just pressures and how to utilize Micah Parsons, but also some coverage stuff like this that we've talked about on the channel before. Really enjoyed this concept, and I enjoy Williams for trusting his eyes and instincts, buzzing down, and just using that momentum to just dive at that football. That's a phenomenal play. Goff's completely fooled by the coverage, and ends up being a big turnover in the red zone. We got third down for the Commanders in, I think, week 2, week 3. I try to remember. But, we're all just going to play the sticks, right? So he's just going to back up here. Again, Williams right here. He's just going to back up and break down on anything underneath. He's going to play at those sticks and keep his eyes open. He's not worried about deep threats. That's not his responsibility. We've got these two here, just waiting to see, what's happening. So you can see pretty much feet right in front of right behind the sticks so they can trigger down on anything in front of them. We feel the pressure on Daniels. He throws the check down and immediately okay, we got to corral him. So when I say corral, what we got Bullard over here, outside leverage here, inside leverage here, meet at the ball carrier. That way he can't cut one way or the other. You want to wrap him up. We call it a 2-man corral. They do a great job of that. But Williams just says at some point, I trust my athleticism more than Austin Eckler. And he just throws his face into that. And what I love is not only is he throwing his face, he's trying to bring his feet with it. Now, he gets clocked by his teammate in Bullard as well. But I really appreciate, not only is he throwing his face in there, it's just really good technique. You can see low pads, head to the side, wrap up, and let the rest of the teammates get there. He really, man, he doesn't look like To me, he's clearly a strong safety with how much he helps in the run game. But when I think of like a true enforcer, at the position, I'm thinking of like a 220 pound or a Cam Chancellor, just someone. Oh my gosh, who's the Kentrell Bryce? Was that a former Packer safety that just loved Rudy Ford, like one of these really bulky dudes? Williams doesn't look like that, but man, is he just fearless when it comes to attacking ball carriers. It's 3rd and 1 here. A big play coming up. Washington's still, not playing, goal line or I formation, anything like that. They're just running gun. Williams is like, hey, it's 3rd and 1. I know they're likely going to run this, and they're going to send him on a blitz. He does a great job. He's creeping up, and he wants to time up that snap. Does a great job of just getting crept up as that snap's about to come, and then just firing downhill. Making sure that you still hold that outside contain in case it's a run to the outside. But once I get outside, then I'm going straight down the line of scrimmage, which is exactly what he does. Meets Austin Eckler. And again, helmet to the side, wrapping at those hamstrings right there. You can see it. And then letting the rest of the teammates get there. But this ends up being a crucial stop. Very great job. Love his ability, man. Triggering downhill. It's just such a fearless run defender. If I was a defensive coordinator, I'd be more than comfortable consistently sending him on blitzes for reasons like this. I always say I think one of the hardest roles in a defense is playing safety as like an alley defender in the run because, you're going from depth, extreme depth. You're having to take the right angles, make sure you hit the ball carrier correctly, and, close space because the more hesitant you are as a safety in the run defense, the more, let's say, we're just down here and a ball carrier's, got here open space. He can go so many different directions. But when we're here and the running back's here, a lot fewer angles you can take. And so I really appreciate that with Williams. He's always playing with urgency against the run. This is a great example of that. So we're going to run like a counter, and he's going to, trigger downhill. This wide receiver is coming down to crack block him, catch him blindside, cause a seal, and really create a bounce out opportunity for this running back. Williams goes, no, that's okay. I'll just launch myself into you first. And now, they were running counter, and this is the ideal gap. Suddenly, that is not there, even in the slightest. So the running back's going to try and bounce outside, and then Williams is going to corral him. Talk about blowing up counter. Like, he's not taking on one of the pullers or the fullback. He's just straight up just taking down a crack block so effectively and with such urgency. He's in the way of where the counter track is going. Okay, that track is right here. And he's just closed so much space. Like, we should have all this space on counter if it's run correctly. And Williams just says, nope, I'm going to launch myself into here, force you to bounce out, and then we'll clean it up from there. It's sensational football, man. It just counts as a tackle on the stat sheet, but this to me is so much more because he's so urgent with it. I'm convinced Evan Williams was a linebacker either, in high school or in another life because the way he plays the position, he's just so physical, not only like attacking ball carriers, but engaging blockers. We just saw that on the counter last play. This is near the goal line, and he's just going to force the issue against this receiver to create space. Again, Williams is right here. He's going to launch himself into the block to make sure that he can be set up to meet the ball carrier. So getting extended immediately, driving those hips and hands and legs with him through the point of contact to push that wide receiver backwards, own that point of attack, and then use that. You can see the receivers on his back heels just completely thrown off by how aggressive Williams was there. Now Williams is completely free to attack the handoff, and he does exactly that. Gets low, gets a hand on him. Ultimately, the Cowboys do score on this drive, but they didn't score here. And that's because of Williams being physical at that point of attack against a blocker and then going after the ball carrier. That's just outstanding stuff. I watch so much film nowadays. Like, I'll be honest, like, I'll get excited about a player and I like some plays, but every once in a while, I make just an audible noise when like a whoa, like what was that? This is one of those plays with Evan Williams. And I'm telling you, nowadays with how much film I watch, this does not happen often. It's a 3rd and 1. The Bengals are barely going to get this play. And sucks that they didn't, hold them on 3rd down, but I had to show the play because the effort he gives to almost make this 3rd and 1 stop is incredible. So Williams is here. We're just going to run the ball. Watch him engage this blocker because this blocker should be climbing to the second level, sealing him off, and then at the very least for this running back, we're getting well past the sticks and making contact maybe there. Nope. Watch Williams. Not only is he launching with great technique into that blocker, let's see where the contact starts, right? So that's the 24. He's driving Yosivas back a full yard. maybe a yard and a half, maybe 2 yards, before he just meets the blocker, the ball carrier with the blocker. That's how you make a third and short stand, man. Like that is unbelievable to just, and he does this all the time. He's so physical with blockers. It it's something I care about so much because I see so many guys that are so talented, especially at the college level. They're like former 5-star linebackers, maybe going to be day 3 NFL prospects because they're just not physical enough taking on blockers. Williams is the complete opposite, man. This guy's just going to throw his face into anything, and he's just so disruptive with that block. By the time he meets the ball carrier, is just with the blocker in his lap. And then he's still taking the effort to try and pull him backwards, man. Like, this is a special cat. You want to talk about a 4th-round gem? I don't think they get better than Evan Williams. We're going to run our now screen to Greg Dortch on this play against the Cardinals. And the numbers here are a little dicey. This is going to get blocked up here. This is going to get blocked up here. It's Williams. It's the free defender coming from depth. So that's a little tricky, especially once we tack on the fact that we're going to, send some offensive linemen and turn it into like a mid screen. So all the linemen are letting their guys go. This is dangerous, right? They've got numbers in space. Because this could all be blocked up with an extra blocker. This could be taken to the house. So Williams reads this so quickly and then understands it's a mid-screen. So he's quickly going to knife and sidestep that tackle trying to run in space, knowing, hey, tackles aren't used to running this far and having to be this urgent. So their momentum is going to carry them this way. Let me just easily sidestep around them. That's exactly what he does. Then he meets Dortch. Ends up being a 0-yard gain on a play that, with the numbers and the way this was drawn up, really scary. This could have been way worse with the blockers that they had in space and the numbers advantage they had. You got to credit Brooks as well, Carl Brooks, for reading that. Might have made a play as well. But the urgency with Williams, just how quickly he reads it, knifes around a blocker, makes a tackle. His instincts are next level. Eagles love to run all kinds of exotic runs, find ways to get Hurts and Saquon Barkley the ball. And we're going to run a pin and pull toss here. So we're going to pull blockers out into space on like a little toss here to let Saquon potentially break free. And hey, with this condensed formation, I can see why they want to run it. They don't really have any outside threat. Williams is here in the box. We got to make sure that we're disciplined here. So we're going to run that pin and pull toss. Williams' entire job here right now is get outside contain. Because the second he tries to cheat this inside, Saquon can bounce it to the sideline and take it all the way up. Because the way this defense is set up right now, there's no outside threat. And you can just see, Nixon's a little slow to it. He's still in his back pedal trying to respect pass. So he's a little slow to react. So Williams is urgently like, we need outside contain now. We need outside contain now. Works his way, gets low pad level, dips under that tight end, and then keeps his outside shoulder free. This is how you keep outside contain. But he has to do it by hustling his ass off to get there. And then by the time that we're working towards the sideline, Cooper's going to get inside and we're going to corral Barkley all the way out of bounds. It doesn't look like a lot, but it's so important because if Williams doesn't fight to get outside contain here, it's going to be a really dangerous play. But show it in full. Watch his effort here. As soon as that ball snaps, trigger, read, get low, fight outside. We're pushing him out of bounds for nothing. I love plays like this. This matters way more than you think because you see it when a guy cheats inside on the perimeter. It leads to some really dangerous plays, explosives usually. So that's just great effort from Williams. He's such an effective blitzer from depth, man. Like, he just knows how to time up the snap, gets a feel for when they're trying to get the ball out. And then once he reads what he's trying to read, he doesn't slow down. So he's going to start blitzing on this play, triggering even before the snap is, blown. And it's starting to look like duo. It looks like we're trying to go double teams here, maybe double teams here. But, we're trying to focus on those. And, for as great as those are, because you can climb to the linebacker, it can leave holes when you're blitzing, especially from depth, because you can see this blocking scheme is not designed early on to pick up a safety quickly because they're just trying to read box numbers. And Williams, at the start of the snap, not in the box, right here. He's, clearly a safety alignment, so they're not counting him or factoring him into the numbers on this run play. So him blitzing on a duo really messes up their count and leaves this wide open lane. And what I love about Williams from blitzing, he doesn't hesitate on it. He reads it, he triggers, and he meets Barkley in the backfield for a huge tackle for loss. The way he times up his blitzes and then just reads it so well, man, it makes him such a useful weapon. I really hope Gannon utilizes him like this as well because he just reads it so damn quickly. I'll be honest, for the sake of content, I am going to show all three of Williams' interceptions. Now, the first one's great. We showed that that was the first play of this video. The other two aren't as good, but I'll still show them and break them down. So we've got this stack, and we're just going to run a smash concept. When I talk about smash, it's just a hitch right here to try and hold a defender and create a throwing window for a corner. I think I might have gotten the receivers mixed up on this, but the concept remains the same. It's a hitch and a corner route. So the idea is that this hitch is going to hold this corner, and if we have inside leverage on this safety, if the receiver can hold outside leverage on the safety, we can create a window and throw to it. Williams at least snuffs it out great because he's reading, he's backpedaling. We're going to watch this two-man route combination, and the second he feels this hitch, he's like, okay, I know what concept this is. We don't really run hitch in typically because we got all this traffic out here. Got a feel for what we're trying to do. So then he starts, reestablishing outside leverage on this receiver. And then by the time this ball's thrown, I think it's Jameis Winston's in at this point. It's a little just disheveled and disorganized. This guy's not even finishing his route, which if I was a receiver coach, I would be disgusted with that. But that's besides the point. Williams is like, oh, it is a corner. Let me run the corner route for you. And then great high point. I don't think he tracks the ball great here, probably because he's more focused on the smash concept and getting leverage on that corner route. But he does a great job high pointing that football, keeping his feet in bounds. Nice interception there. Huge play in what ended up being a very close game. We just talked about in that Eagles game how blitzing from depth really messes up the numbers and assignments for blocking schemes. So we're just going to run it again with Williams at the top of the screen with, I think it's a split zone. Let me watch this again real quick. No, it's not even a split zone, just kind of like an inside zone to Aaron Jones. This receiver's trying to climb to Williams, but he's just playing with such urgency off the blitz that the receiver can't get to him. So again, the numbers in the box are completely messed up. He's just going to fly down there and make a tackle for loss. I love how they used him like this. I think they should use him more, especially when they have obvious like run tells or film tendencies on early downs. Because your offensive line is just, they got so much other stuff to worry about. They got like usually 7-8 players maybe in the box that they're trying to account for and communicate. And if you ever listen to a game closely when like the announcers aren't talking, these O linemen are talking constantly. Like, they'll be talking about double teams or like, I'm solo on this guy, or like, hey, we're leaving him. Like, they're using all these codes and talking constantly before the snap. And when you don't factor in for a player like here, because again, that's not what you're taught. It just leads to wide open gaps for a player to blitz through. It's one of Williams' best traits. Not much to show on this third interception of the year, but we've got just Williams here, too high look, just breaking on vertical routes. We got a couple of vertical routes, but he's going to read the QB's eyes. And if you're seeing QB is stepping up already, it's very clear where he's determined to throw. Williams is reading eyes, throwing posture where the shoulders are pointed. So he's like, okay, it looks like he's stepping up to try and rip this. So instead of, playing neutral on 1 and 2, let me just break towards where the ball's going. And it's a terrible throw. It's so high. It's so high above him. The Packers will likely not face this quarterback again next year. Kyler will be a much more interesting matchup because watching this game again, I forgot how ugly it was for McCarthy. Again, there's not a whole lot to show to this, but again, I wanted to make sure I showed all 3 interceptions and explained the context behind them. This is just playing too high, reading the quarterback's eyes, and just catching an overthrow. One of the first 3 things I'm going to talk about when someone just asked me, what do you think of Evan Williams, is his effort. Because, man, he's so fearless triggering downhill, but then you've got instances like this where he's just going to hustle. He's going to fill down this way, so we're just going to start pursuing, find that cutback lane for Gibbs and make sure it's filled from backside, right? But as soon as Gibbs starts changing direction, he sees that, hey, Williams has filled this ideal cutback lane. We've got to try and bounce this as Jahmyr Gibbs. Williams goes, oh, yeah, this guy's really fast. Let me take the right pursuit angle, which is instead of trying to go here and try and catch Jahmyr Gibbs in a foot race, let me make my path here and then kind of bow it back towards the sideline. And he does exactly that, takes the perfect angle towards it, and then just meets Jahmyr Gibbs for a 0-yard gain on a play that could have been dangerous when Gibbs breaks contain on the backside. Because we got 91, I think that's Brinson is on the ground on backside. I think Micah is just, flying upfield, so Micah's lost contain back there. Gary's behind the play. This receiver's winning on Carrington Valentine if this gets bounced outside. So this could have been really bad. But because of the effort of Williams, it ends up being just 0 yards. Not only does he fill the cutback lane, but then he takes the right pursuit angle to meet Jahmyr Gibbs for, again, back at the line of scrimmage. Outstanding work. He should be fired up after one like that. Another great effort play by here on Williams, and what might have been the stupidest ref play I saw in a Packers game all year. We're going to run play action crossers, and Colston Loveland's just going to cross across the formation. It's a lot of saying the word cross. Um, but Williams is going to play kind of like a single high safety in this look against play action. So he's going to worry here. He's going to gain depth. And then he's just going to read like, oh, hey, breaking inside. Let me break down on where Williams wants to go with this crosser. So he gets through a lot of traffic. There's a lot of bodies here, a lot of feet. Takes the right angle here. We're still giving up cushion to Loveland, but, we've got inside leverage with Nixon here. Let's go over the top, get outside. And he does a great job as soon as that ball comes to, you can see his hands wound up, punch at that ball, pops the ball out. Now, the refs decided this was a completion and then I think recovered by Loveland. But if I recall on the media or broadcast replay, like a Packers player recovered it. So the Packers challenged, and instead of it being ruled that the Packers got the ball, it was an incompletion instead. It was one of the weirdest plays. It felt like the refs just botched the whole situation on it. It was a very weird situation in this game. But regardless of the outcome, the process was great as far as Williams. As soon as Loveland gets that ball, to just punch at it and try and pop it out, because he does exactly that. It's a great play. I wrote in my notes on this play that Williams does a great job of playing with urgency and patience. And that sounds like a weird two things to combine. That's like an oxymoron, right? But in this play, it makes total sense to me because he diagnoses on this run play. So he fills and waits for a run lane to develop. He doesn't want a lineman to climb to him. He wants to process information like, hey, what lane do I need to fill? It's one of these, right? So he's going to sit there and wait for the hole that he needs to fill to develop. And that's exactly what happens here. And as soon as it develops, then we're going to see the urgency from Williams to go, okay, perfect. Let me trigger. Let me get on that ball carrier and wrap him up and let Brooks clean it up. It's such a nuanced play of like, just, hey, be patient. But then once you see it, go. Too many guys, like we've seen a lot of decisiveness from Williams this whole video, but this was a great example of when he does need a second to diagnose. Once he sees it, go. Don't be hesitant once you see it after being patient, because then that's how you end up dead. And I think Williams just does a great job of that here. I really don't know how Williams isn't in more conversations as like a top young defender in football. Maybe it's because he doesn't have like the flashy highlight plays, but man, he's just so rock solid, consistent. Played all 16 games last year, 100 tackles for a safety. It still kind of blows my mind. But that's the kind of player we're talking about. Such a useful component. And I am very curious to see how Jonathan Gannon's going to utilize him. But I think the sky's the limit for this kid. I think we'll be talking about him more in national conversations for years to come. He's only 25 years old. So keep an eye out for him. And I think there's big things coming ahead for Evan Williams. What do you think about him? I know a lot of people were asking for this video, so glad we got to do it. Let me know in the comments your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching, and we are very close to 10,000 subscribers. So yeah, if you've made it to the end of the video and not subscribed, please help us out and hit that subscribe button so we can get there. Hopefully, well before week 1 of the NFL season. That'll do it from us today. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.